valley. Greatest battles of all time would take place on top of their tombs. Be careful not to hurt the Pharaoh.
Hello, Ray Phoenix, and welcome to Let's Play Twisted Metal Part 3. As Thumper, of course. Who else would be playing Twisted Metal 3 as? So this time around, we're in what's pretty much like the Holland Field of Screams level from Twisted Metal 2, but it's in Egypt this time around, and it's not flat. It's actually very lumpy and bumpy. You're always going to be bouncing off the lumps of sand and everything like that, where the pharaoh supposedly is sleeping or something like that. This is by far the most abysmal level in the entire game. This level really shows, like what's wrong with Twisted Metal 3. Because look at this. It's like there's the health refills are located really close to each other. They constantly respawn. And your enemies have easy access to them. Your enemies can access them very easily. You can easily get to them. And like I said, the enemies are always a lot faster than you. They always seem to know where to go and how to maneuver around the things too. It's like they magically know where everything is. Like they have GPS systems placed into their brain so they can know exactly where everything is. And Augur is trying to make an attempt at me there to drill into me, to screw into me. Augur, I said before, Augur kind of is the Mr. Slam at this game. He actually is superior to Mr. Slam in quite a lot of ways, actually. You're going to get beat up a lot in this level, which is pretty, which is pretty standard for this game, for you to get beat up a lot by things. And yet manage to find a health refill just in time before they could, destroy you. So as you see here, we have the gimmick weapon. It's called the Eye. It's like it shoots out a large laser eye from that pyramid over there that's supposedly the pharaoh's sleeping. It's supposed to be like the pharaoh's soul or something like that. It's like looking into you or something like that. I don't know how it works exactly. Apparently it's something to do with the pharaoh, the ancient pharaoh in Egypt or something like that. Because apparently this is what Egypt is like. It's so sandy and like a dry, arid desert right here. And we're driving our cars, and our cars are not getting overheated at all for some reason. Then again, they didn't freeze up either when we were in the North Pole, so I guess it kind of makes sense. Our cars are like magic cars. They can resist any kind of weather, regardless of what kind of weather, whether it's extremely hot or extremely icy or whatever. Is that these magical cars can survive anything. You can also go into the other pharaoh's tomb over there, where you could actually use another environmental attack. It's like this level relies too much on environmental attacks, I think. As I keep saying, this level's poorly designed. This level has a lot to do with why people don't like Twisted Metal 3 that much. The level design in this game is not as memorable as it was in Twisted Metal 2. Twisted Metal 2 had some really memorable levels, like in that Paris level where you could destroy the Eiffel Tower, or there's that other one where you go to New York City and you destroy the Statue of Liberty, you destroy the Hollywood letters in LA. Twisted Metal 2 had all sorts of cool stuff in that game, but this game comes around and it's like, what is there? It's like, we already saw what could be seen. They didn't even really focus much in that. It just seems like, oh, it's just Twisted Metal. It's just simply travel the world and go to some of the most blandest battlegrounds in the entire world and, duke it out, because that's, how it is. And a lot of it you still end up hitting your enemies a lot in this game, crashing your enemies, even though crashing enemies doesn't really do an awful lot of damage against them in this game. And the enemies always seem to, know what's best, where to go, what's what, stuff like that. But of course, right now, I'm luring them into a trap, you see. I have the lightning equipped, and I'm just going to wait for Sweet Tooth to get in there, and then some other contestants are going to be in there, so I can activate this. And I think I killed Hammerhead by doing all that. Just 2 lightning blasts, and Hammerhead is dead. And at least the good thing is, at least the freeze weapon is responsive whenever you do have enough energy for it, and you want to use a freeze shot. It pretty much is always responsive in this game. It always works. It's not like Twisted Metal 2 where it's all finicky or stuff like that. That doesn't always seem to like to work. I'm not even sure freeze does any real damage. It might do some damage against your opponents in this game. It doesn't do much real damage towards them. It barely does any at all, so you can't really use the freeze shot as a weapon in this game, unlike you could in Twisted Metal 2. It actually was a pretty good weapon, a pretty underrated weapon in Twisted Metal 2, how it worked. But in this game, not so much. It doesn't really work that good as a weapon in this game. And so Flower Power seems to be our only last opponent now, because Flower Power always seems to be the last opponent we fight against. Because Flower Power has been in almost every battle in the level. Unlike the first Twisted Metal, this is more like Twisted Metal 2, where the opponents are randomized. It gives you a different variation of opponents per level. You get different, like it's always the same opponents each and every time. It randomizes them, it randomly gives you enemies. And that's what this game does too. It's not always the same enemies each time around. Sometimes we get to face off against them, the more tougher ones, sometimes it's even the weaker ones kind of too. Obviously Hammerhead's, body is up. Monster Truck is pretty tough. So is Sweet Tooth. Sweet Tooth is like the most powerful character contestant in this game. That's actually, it's not a boss in this game pretty much. But Sweet Tooth is a bonus unlockable character, so that might have something to do with that too.
Satisfactory for battle. The competition of real class. Made it this far. Now.
And Thumper has a pretty good build too. Thumper is like the all-around, best of the best kind of thing in this game. Imagine if this game were to have a canon winner, it would probably be Thumper, because his car is like I said, it's really like the average class, best of the best kind of thing. Kind of like what Yellow Jacket was in the original Twisted Metal. He was like half and half. He was really fast, while at the same time he was pretty strong and sturdy too, and had a really decent special weapon. Every Twisted Metal game has at least one contestants like that. In Twisted Metal 2, that would have to be Warthog, because Warthog had a really good special weapon. He was still somewhat fast in that game, and the best thing of all, he was strong and mighty. And in this game, Warthog is like that too, but I find Thumper is actually more strong in this game. Thumper was a lot stronger in this game than he was in Twisted Metal 2. In Twisted Metal 2, Thumper was kind of weak, but in this game, he's actually quite strong in this game. He's quite sturdy and durable. He has like a cool, pimped out car. It's like, I bet those like Cadillacs or whatever his cars. No, actually it's a Chevy Impala, I think, like it was in the first two games. But in the fourth game, in Twisted Metal 4, Thumper is like a 70s Cadillac, and he's really strong. But then again, it makes sense he'd be like really strong and large kind of thing, and be powerful against his enemies. That's simply because he's a boss in Twisted Metal 4. Yeah, that's right. Twisted Metal 4 had continued a weird habit that this game began. They took Darkseid from the first Twisted Metal and made him a boss in this game. We'll be seeing a lot of that in Twisted Metal 4, where they take regular contestants from the previous games and they make them boss fights and bosses you have to fight against in Twisted Metal 4. 989 had a really weird thing. It's almost like that a fetish almost for taking regular contestants and making them bosses that you have to fight against at the end of every single level. Because Twisted Metal 4 overdoes it with bosses. There's way too many bosses in Twisted Metal 4. And Twisted Metal 3 held the record in infinite bosses. Every Twisted Metal game had more and more bosses as they progressed. The first game only had one boss, it was Minion. Twisted Metal 2 has two bosses, Minion and Dark Tooth. Twisted Metal 3 has 3 bosses. And Twisted Metal 4 has about 9 bosses, because one level has actually 2 bosses in it. So yeah, so it's like they keep getting a lot bigger. They keep getting more and more bosses in each and every game. If this kept up, eventually, if we kept making Twisted Metal games as well too, we'd be like at Twisted Metal 12 by now, or maybe even more than that by now. And there would be like maybe 30 bosses in the whole game. It would probably be randomized too to some. There'd be a lot of randomized stuff in it as well too, which would give people more reason to want to play through the game again. Which actually, but adding a sense of randomness to the game actually does add some replay value. This game isn't very long. What really makes it long, really adds to the length of the game, is its replay value. Playing for the game as the different contestants and seeing the different endings of the game. No spoiler alert, the endings of this game suck. Twisted Metal 3 has the worst endings of any Twisted Metal game ever. And Twisted Metal 2 had epic and memorable endings, and Twisted Metal 3, Twisted Metal 3 doesn't have any good endings. They all suck, Noah. They all suck. Try not to spoil anything, but yeah, they do all suck. So it's time for the final boss.
I'd like you to meet an acquaintance of mine. He goes by the name Primeval. Be careful. He's not as friendly as the other contestants have been.
So Primeval, supposedly an alien that came came here through Area 51. It's highly implied that he met Roadkill prior to the start of this game, because Roadkill in his bio screen, his info screen, he mentioned that some bald-headed alien, which Primeval is a bald-headed alien from what we see of him, told him that he should fight in this contest and win. So it's likely he met Roadkill sometime prior entering the contest. Whereas Primeval, he's probably the weakest final boss in any Twisted Metal game ever. Seriously, this guy's a pushover. Literally, I'm pushing him over the edge. I'm actually pushing him over the edge. I'm just gonna drop a bomb there, and there, he's dead. Is this gonna fall to his death end? Yep, we won Twisted Metal. No surprise there.
Thumper, so your wish is to forever hang with your homies? Your wish is granted. Hang in there, kid. There's always next year's Twisted Metal competition. I am Calypso, and I thank you for playing Twisted Metal.
So yeah, that's his ending. He ends up hanging with his homies. He totally had to go through Twisted Metal and kill so many people just to achieve that, right? Yeah, that's why people hate the ending to this game so much. It's the reason why people hate this game in general so much. So yeah, this concludes this LP. This is Ray Phoenix, signing out.